Okay, so what makes handwriting more effective than typewriting? Typewriting as in, like writing on a computer with a keyboard or anything that is virtual, not using pen and paper. So hey, it's Konrad here, Yerba Addict, and in today's video I'm gonna try to outline you throughout my research and reading a couple of books and also my experience why I think handwriting is much more effective. It's not faster, but it's much more effective, and it's gonna help with both your learning, reading, and just retaining the information that you learn. And it's gonna help with a lot of aspects of your life, just decluttering your mind. And this is a practice that I started, I think, a bit more than a year ago when I was traveling throughout Central America on a bicycle. And I remember I just took first, I don't remember if I had it from the start, but I remember at one point in the trip, I decided to buy a notebook and a pen and, just always write something at the end of the day or at the beginning of a day. Oftentimes at the beginning, because I would wake up at like 6 a.m. because the sun was shining so hard. And I would just type like what I've learned and the date. And sometimes I wouldn't do it every day, but sometimes I would write a bit more. Like I watch some podcast or listen to audiobook or talk to someone interesting, and I would write that down. Sometimes it was more shorter, but that was like my start with like pen and paper, outside of like back in the time of school. And for some reason I couldn't really put it in the words, but I liked it. And then I came back home and I kind of still stuck with having some, using some notepad and pen, but not so regularly until recently I read this book, which I'm going to show you here to camera. This book, which is basically the Bulletjournal method by writer Carol. It's the creator of a Bulletjournal. And basically it's called, I think for short, it's called Bujo, B-U-J-O method. So basically what he outlines in this book, besides like his kind of method, he also, kind of states what's his story with this, because this is something he came up with. So basically writer was used to have something along like ADHD, like he would just always in the school or whatever, he would just always had like too many thoughts and he wouldn't be able to concentrate. And he just stumbled upon the fact that when he would write things down and then kind of declutter his mind, that would help him with his condition. And then he started developing the method more and more, as the years went on, he added more things. He had more like rigid structure to it, and he developed some cool ideas as to what's the best way to, like structure your notepad, how to do it while still retaining the simplicity. And what I wanted to kind of outline here, and based on his book and my experience, is why I think all those great to-do apps and Google Docs or whatever you are using right now are cool, and they are very convenient, and the same goes for like when you are at class or whatever and you're using your notebook to type things. This is all good, but I'm gonna kind of outline today the reason why I think you should give pen and paper a try. Basically, the number one reason the writer states in his book is that when we write using pen and paper, we process the information like differently, because when you write, you engage more like neurons, because it's like more difficult than typing. And because of that, we have to focus more. So for that, we retain more information. Basically, they did a couple of studies, and it's been proven that like one, it helps you retain more information. Two, it helps you then read faster. That's why, because of the practice of writing down letters, you also learn to recognize them faster. So then when you read books, it's gonna improve your reading ability. So it's gonna help you read faster. So you're gonna be able to read more books. And thirdly, because when you write, you are not able to keep up with how people speak, and you can't type it word for word, or how some people do it when they have a computer. They're just like someone's giving class or whatever, and they just type it word for word. Then you're not really processing the information. You're just like a medium, and then you just type it in. But when you write, you have to become strategic and economical, because you're not able to keep up. So you have to process the information in your brain and kind of squeeze the juice out of the information. So someone said 3 sentences, and you have to write one to just summarize the point. And that helps you basically retain also more information. That also engages more neurons, so you make more connections between information. You make connections that wouldn't be there other way. So there's many advantages when it comes to purely cognitively. And a great quote I think that I had there is that nowadays we mistake convenience for efficiency. And basically, sometimes going slow is faster. And in this case, when I would say that typewrite, when you write by hand and pen, that also helps you to slow down and think to what you're gonna write down. What if that task that you kind of scheduled for yourself, if that even makes sense to do it. And this is something we don't really do nowadays too much, in the this day and age where we constantly are fast. We're doing something, we are running, we are going from one thing to another, we are calling, we are doing 5 things in once. We almost never have time to really slow down and think if what we are doing is if it really makes sense, and what's the why behind the what. And that's something the author of the Bulletjournal method. He's a big proponent that one of the big reasons that it's become so successful, because it's also very popular right now, is because it helps you through moving the tasks and having also monthly logs and things like that. It helps you establish this routine of one, asking yourself why you do what you do. Is it really that important? 2, it also helps you start each day with a blank slate, because you have a blank piece of paper, so you don't feel it's stuck up. And in those to-do lists, it's different. And also it's very, in my opinion, it's very flexible, because even though he outlines some ideas and methods, it's very, you are free to do whatever you want in that book, in that notebook of yours. While if you have an app, it's very much, just how the creator of the app thought of it. And some things you like, some things you don't like. Sometimes it's too, too difficult to grasp. It takes ages to really understand all the functionality. Sometimes it's too simple and you wish it had some other features. And here it's all about, just at the beginning, you start small, you start simple, you just implement the practice, and then you kind of develop it as you go. I personally really recommend it. I'm doing it every day now. I always log the day and the date of today's day and the day of the week, and then I write some task. I give it priority, then I write down some notes. If I read a book or whatever, I write takeaways, and then I put it in an index where I can find the information more easily. Then I also have a monthly log, and where I kind of put what I want to do, accomplish this month, all the kind of bigger overview. So I don't know, it's been helpful for me. I think I never been diagnosed with ADHD, but I remember when I was younger, I also had problems with sitting in class, and I had always too much kind of maybe on my mind, and always wanted to do more. And I would say this very much, this practice, compared to when I was having some to-do apps, I don't know, it helps me very much slow down and think about, why am I doing the things I'm doing? Is it really that important? What's going on with me? Write down some thoughts. And I just love, I don't know, I love the paper and I love the pen, even though now I even bought myself some fancy fountain pen, but not necessarily, you don't have to. Just for me, it's just cool, adds a bit of this authentic touch to this whole exercise. So yeah, I definitely recommend this book if you want to get started with this. I mean, you don't need to, but I really love this book. I've read quite a bunch of books in the past couple of years, But this one, not even on just like, this category, but in general, this book is very well written. He kind of combines it also as a form of like meditation. So he kind of outlines, it's just like a mix of the practical advice of like how to do certain things with like more theoretical, like why behind it, how it helps, how it helped other people, why is it a form of meditation, why you need that in your life, how is it gonna help you. So I love like how it's combined, like the practice with the theory element and kind of like brainstorming. So I highly recommend this book. Highly recommend you guys start handwriting more things. Knowledge is power, but at the same time you have to be able to kind of make connections and be able to retain it and remember it. It's not all about reading and listening, because a lot of times, nowadays it just passes through, goes through one ear, goes out another, and then nothing happens, and we don't really implement it in our daily life. So I hope this was valuable for you guys. So yeah, thank you guys a lot for tuning in for this episode. I hope this was helpful. Let me know your comments below. Like, what are your thoughts if you started your daily practice? If you have any experience with the Bujo method or the Bulletjournal method, if you've read this book, I would be curious to hear your thoughts if you like as well. And so thanks a lot. And I will see you in the next episode. See you.